Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest. In today's video, we are going to be talking about small cap healthcare company on the ASX, Alcidion. This is a company I do like. I have held this company in the past, but I'm not a current holder, although I am thinking maybe now is a time to buy back into this company because they just had their best quarter on record. They were operating cash flow positive by $3.3 million in the quarter, and things can only get better for this company. So I think there is potential. The hype and the potential of this company is starting to be realized. So I am excited about the future of this company, even though I'm not a shareholder of the company just yet. But I think this is a company that I think can uh, um, really grow in value, grow in worth over the next 5 years. Probably the only thing holding me back is just the current valuation of the company. Even though the share price has fallen a lot by about 50%, even more than 50% from its highs, we still have a market cap, or the company still has a market cap of over $200 million. So a lot of that hype has been built already into the share price. But I do think this company has that potential to grow significantly from here. So let's get stuck into the video. And before we look at the June quarter results, just a few facts in regards to Alcidion. One of the reasons I do like what Alcidion is doing is they are disrupting the healthcare sector or the point of care within hospitals, that sort of thing. Now, I have heard and read that the hospitals, healthcare sector in generally are very resistant to change. They're very stubborn when it comes to new technology, which actually does surprise me. I thought the healthcare sector would be at the forefront of technological change, but seemingly they are not. And that's where Alcidion comes into play. They want to improve the point of care of patients in hospitals. So a patient in hospital has all this data. So they've got patient details, clinical results, visit history, clinical documents. And historically, all that information has been hard to collate. And if a doctor or patient's doctor wants that sort of information, they have to go through quite a few hoops. And that's where Alcidion comes into play through their software platform, say Mia Precision, Mia Memory. So what they do is they get all that patient information, put it through the Alcidion platforms, and at the back end or the front end, the back end, the doctor of the patient has the ability to gain access to all the patient's information in the one tablet or the one computer or the one phone if they're moving around the hospital, that sort of thing. So this will lead to better decision making, better point of care. Now, a few facts in regards to Alcidion. Company founded in 2000 and listed on the ASX, one of the rare companies that listed on the ASX on the 29th of February. This was in 2016. I doubt there would be many companies that list on the ASX on the 29th of February. Now, this was a backdoor listing via Nakuta Resources. So if you don't know what a backdoor listing is, so typically there's going to be these shell companies on the ASX. More than likely, they're going to be mining companies that were not successful in what they wanted to do, and they sell their tenements, sell the rights to any mines, and they're looking for opportunities, looking for companies that want to list on the ASX but don't want to go through the whole IPO process, and that's what Alcidion does. And so Alcidion lists on the ASX through Nakuta Resources on the 29th of February 2016. Current CEO is Kate Quirk. She's been in that role since July 2018. She's done a fantastic job in the last 4 years in that role. Current shareholder, or one of the largest shareholders, is Australian Super, one of the best superannuation funds in Australia. They have an 8.8% holding in the company, and the current market cap is $216 million. That's at a share price of 17 cents. Share price has been down as low as 10 cents. That would have been an absolute or great opportunity to take a position in this company if you like the future of Alcidion. And the ticker code is ALC. Now, a few facts in regards to Alcidion. Now, before we have a look at the financial year or June quarter for financial year 22, I'm just going to go back 1 year, look at the June quarter for financial year 21, and I just want to see how this company has progressed in the past year. Now, 1 year ago, receipts to customers 9.7 million, and the company was operating cash flow positive. by $1.6 million in this particular June quarter 1 year ago. So Alcidion has had a history of being operating cash flow positive on a quarterly basis, but not on a continually quarterly basis. And you'll see that with receipts history. The receipts can be quite lumpy when it comes to this company, and some quarters will be operating cash flow positive, some quarters operating cash flow negative, some quarters can be operating cash flow negative by a large amount, some quarters can be operating cash flow positive by a large amount. But what we want to see moving forward is Alcidion being operating cash flow positive on a continuing basis. All 4 quarters would be absolutely ideal. They haven't quite got to that position just yet. Now, this company is acquisitive, so they do make quite a few acquisitions. In this particular quarter, they spent $9.5 million in acquisition and raised $18.4 million in a capital raising. And because the capital raising was greater than the acquisition, they actually increased their cash on hand from $15.3 million to $25 million. Now let's have a look at the June quarter results for financial year 22. And this was a pretty good quarter, probably the best quarter on record in terms of operating cash flow. So receipts to customers increased by $4.2 million from 1 year ago, and the company was now operating cash flow positive by $3.3 million. And the reason they were operating cash flow positive in this particular quarter, more operating cash flow in this particular quarter than 1 year ago, is because the cash receipts increased at a greater rate than their spending. So they are showing signs of potential scale here. For instance, product manufacturing operating costs up $2.2 million, staff costs up $1.1 million, but administration costs down $1.1 million. So altogether, the costs increased at a lower rate or slower rate than the cash receipts. So the company was more operating cash flow positive in this quarter than last quarter. They again spent some money on acquisition, $3 million on acquisition, but they were able to fund this acquisition through their operating cash flow. So operating cash flow, $3.3 million, acquisition, $3 million, and that's exactly what you want to see. That's exactly how you want to see a company pay for acquisitions, is through the operating cash flow. And because I did spend $3 million on acquisition, the cash on hand for the business did not grow at all. In fact, it went backwards by $200,000 and finished the quarter at $17.3 million. Now, if you actually look at the year to date, and compare it to last year's year-to-date, you'll notice that the receipts to customers actually increased $9 million. But the company was less operating cash flow positive in this financial year than the previous financial year. So again, you've got to look at the full picture for Alcidion. Just don't look at one quarter in isolation. Look at the whole 4 quarters, the whole financial year. But I do think the company is moving in the right direction. But I'd like to see the momentum in this particular quarter transition into the next few quarters. And if it does, I think this company is even looking more interesting than it is right now. Now to the receipts history for Alcidion, and this goes back to when they backdoor listed on the ASX in 2016. Not a lot of receipts way back then. In fact, the first few years I probably ignored this company up until 2018. You saw a massive increase in receipts in 2018 from 520,000 to 5.1 million in 2 quarters. More than likely that was because of an acquisition, and that's when I started to get interested in this company. But since 2018, receipts, since Kate Quirk became a CEO of this company, receipts have grown through time. There is a little bit of lumpiness here. You can see on occasion receipts pull back quite a bit. We saw that in the September quarter 2021. Receipts actually fell from $11.5 million in the March quarter all the way down to $6.6 million. That's nothing to be concerned about, because then we saw receipts take off again. But generally, if you put a line of best fit here, you'll see receipts moving up through time. And again, the June quarter we just experienced was the best quarter this company has seen in terms of receipts and also in terms of operating cash flow. So let's have a look at the operating cash flow history for Alcidion. When I do an Appendix 4C video for most companies, the first thing I'll focus on is the cash receipts history. And I want to see cash receipts increasing through time, ideally at least 8 quarters of history before I determine if cash receipts are moving up or down or going sideways. When I do see a company's cash receipts increasing through time, like we saw with Alcidion, the next thing I'm going to focus on is operating cash flow. And then the third thing I'll focus on is free cash flow. And free cash flow is very important for capital intensive businesses who spend a lot of money on capital expenditure or property, plant and equipment. Alcidion doesn't fall into that category. So operating cash flow is very important because there's not going to be much difference between operating cash flow and free cash flow. And this is the operating cash flow situation for Alcidion going back to September quarter 2018 when they were slightly operating cash flow positive. A lot of lumpiness here. So a lot of really good quarters, just like we saw in the June quarter, and a lot of bad quarters, in particular the September quarter 2021. If you remember the cash receipts history, that was a down quarter. Cash receipts about 6.6 million, and the company was operating cash flow negative in that quarter by $3 million. If we go back 2 quarters previous to that, the March quarter 2021, the company was operating cash flow positive by just about $3 million. But the most important thing here is the last 3 quarters have been either operating cash flow positive by a small amount, a large amount, previous quarter, or operating cash flow negative by a smaller amount. So I think things are heading in the right direction. If you do draw a trend line here, the trend is up. We'd like to see this momentum like we had in the June quarter continue into the next 2 quarters for a confirmation that the operating cash flow of this company is moving up, trending up, and will remain above zero for the foreseeable future. If I do see that, if the market does see that, I think there will be a re-rating in Alcidion's valuation. Now onto the charts of Alcidion. The first chart here is the weekly chart going all the way back to 2019. Start of 2019, the share price of this company was 3.5 cents. So I started following this company in 2018, and I got excited in Alcidion in 2019 when I started to see the share price rise. So I did take a position. However, I didn't really hold that position for too long because I think the market got a little bit too frothy. There was a little bit too much hype in this company because the share price rose from 3.5 cents all the way to a high of 30 cents in less than 1 year. So the share price almost had a tenfold increase in a very short period of time. And I really don't like to see that because that's telling me the market is getting a little bit too excited, and more than likely it's pricing in a lot of growth for the company in the future. And I think at times the market can get a little bit too excited. So that's why I took some profits back in 2019, and I have not held this company since then. We did see a breakout in the share price in November 2020 when the company announced a deal in the UK, some sort of hospital. And that's why the share price increased from about 15 cents all the way to a high of 47.5 cents, which was reached in May 2021. So just over 1 year ago, and the share price has fallen quite a bit since then. In fact, the share price fell from about 47.5 cents all the way down to 10 cents. 10 cents was a really good, strong support level for this company. It's a natural support level for a share price of any company because round numbers tend to be natural support resistance levels, and 10 cents is one of the most powerful support and resistance levels because the share price moves up in different increments above and below that level. So above 10 cents, the share price moves up in 0.5 of a cent increments. Below 10 cents, it moves down or up in 0.1 cent increments. So that's one of the reasons why 10 cents is a very natural resistance support levels for a lot of companies. The other reason 10 cents is a really good support level for a sit-in was that was the low in the share price during the COVID-19 financial panic. In fact, the share price did get below 10 cents for a very brief period of time in March 2020. And we have seen a really good rebound of 10 cents over the past 2 months for Alcidion. And the current share price, at the time of doing this video, at 11 a.m. on the 15th of August, share price is currently at 17 cents. So we have seen a nice rebound in the share price. Whether the share price can keep going up from here remains to be seen. But it does look like the sentiment and the share price are shifting to becoming positive in the short to medium term. To look at that, we'll focus on the daily chart. So let's have a look at that now. And this is the daily chart for Alcidion going back to only December 2021. And back then, the share price was around about the mid-30 range. And you can just see a well-defined downtrend in Alcidion's share price from December last year all the way through to the last few weeks ago. I've included here 5 moving averages. Got the 100-day moving average and then 4 moving averages close together. So those moving averages are, I think, the 20, to the 60 or 50 range. And what I want to see with those four moving averages that are close together, when I ever see them far apart, like we have seen with our Alcidion share price from December last year all the way through to late July, when they're far apart like that, that is telling us the share price is in a well-defined downtrend if the share price is decreasing, or a well-defined uptrend if the share price is going up. But what I want to see here is a convergence in those moving averages. And we definitely have seen that over the past few weeks. In fact, the shorter term moving average, which in a downtrend should be on the bottom of all the moving averages, is now getting or moving towards a 100-day moving average because the share price is starting to increase. We're seeing a potential new uptrend developing. We'll need a confirmation of this. And if the share price gets above, say, 21 cents, that would be exceeding the highs we saw back in April of this year. And if we see that over the next, say, 2 or 3 months, that would mean the share price would be at least a 6-month high for Alcidion. So I think a break above 21 cents for me would be confirmation. The share price of Alcidion has moved into an uptrend. And that would be good news moving forward for this company, particularly if they continue to release really good quarter results or even half-year, yearly results. We could see this shift in sentiment and the continuing trend in the share price keep on going from here on in. That's all I have for this look at Alcidion's June quarter results. Operating cash flow positive, 3.3 million. Without doubt, the best quarter this company has experienced in their life. And if they can continue this momentum going into the September quarter, into the December quarter, I think the valuation of this company would be looking attractive, particularly if they can keep on growing at a pretty good rate and remain operating cash flow positive on a continuing basis. So I do see a lot of potential for this company over the next 5 to 10 years. And I think with the pullback in the share price over the past 9 months or so, and a bit of a rebound in the share price, and a potential new uptrend developing in the shares of this company, I think right now could be a good time to take a closer look at Alcidion. Now, if you do have a differing opinions than my own, if you have some questions, some thoughts, I'd love to hear them. So leave in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.